Thanks, Grant. Thank you for spending some time with me. My name is Ferdy. As Grant alluded to, I'm a CEO of TMRS, which is a gaming company that's based out of here, but we're in several markets across Southeast Asia. Today, I just want to talk to you a little bit about gaming, and I'll do a little bit of focus in Thailand first. Then I'll tell you a little bit of a story, like Dave does, about what I think what happened to gaming and how it affects everybody, and how we talked a little bit about some socio effects of how things are moving with social media, and gaming has similar effects as well. And then lastly, I'll give you some ideas, and if you don't know these things, the ideas that are coming, I'll give you a quick preview. While this thing clicks. There you go. So yeah, today the presentation is called Player One to Infinity. And I think I will be your player one today because the story is going to be a little bit about me. Hopefully it doesn't disclose too much information about my age or anything like that. But I'll try to keep it interesting, and I'll try to keep it so that you see the journey that gaming's been on. And before we do that, to all the Americans out there, happy Thanksgiving. I totally forgot about that. So my parents, everybody out there, they're probably like, why is this guy working on Thanksgiving? This is an important cause, so I'm happy to be here for that. And I'm personally thankful. I'm personally really thankful for being in gaming, to be honest with you. It's one of those fields that I think is continuing to grow. You know, from just looking at our perspective, we've been doubling our growth since 2019. So the fuel in gaming is just getting greater and greater. I started my career in advertising with a lot of the guys I see here in front of me, Paul and Dave. They're all my bosses. Patrick Luram, also one of my bosses, they're all here. I've seen so much change, and gaming is one of those factors for change. And again, I love being in growth industry, so I'm personally thankful for being in that. So just to give you a little, gaming in Thailand is a very Gen Z, Gen Alpha. It's a medium to reach this group. And a lot of brands, I want to talk to you about those brands later, really feel that this is the most important group to reach. And I'll tell you why in a bit. But you can see Gen Z, Gen Alpha, 79%. It's not maybe not a big shocking thing. That's younger audiences and audiences around till about 35 or so. So what you're looking at is, again, it's an interesting thing because going back to, those are all esports. I mean, going back to what we're trying to say is it's grown a lot since I first came here in 2000, right? Gaming before was so kind of just very basic. But now we've got into the esports community. If you look at one of the big key milestones in esports and gaming in Thailand, 2021, it's recognized as an actual sport. So it's not just esports and the guys in SEA Games are going to a different place. They're just the same athletes as the tennis players, the soccer players, everything else. So I think that's a really big milestone because, you know, I think one day esports is going to be in the Olympics, right? It's coming. From our perspective, what we like about gaming and esports in this region in particular is mobile gaming. So mobile gaming is, you'll see in other slides, it's really dominant. And this region dominates the globe in mobile gaming. This region also dominates crypto gaming as well, because it's an important aspect of where we are in the industry and in the region. What I say that, like if I go to the Philippines, for example, which I just came back from, that's why I have this cold, it's killing me. And so why it's important? Because in the past, gaming was about, I'm going to take your time and I'm going to also take your money maybe. But with crypto gaming, there's now a chance to, while you're playing, you can actually make money. So for the guys during the COVID days in the Philippines, a game called Axie Infinity was huge. Why? Because people were making $200, $300, $400 a month playing the game. And when you think about it, gaming, putting food on the table in third world countries is powerful. And that's the power of gaming. And so many people are playing it, and it gets so viral, and it turns into, more importantly, a community. That's why it's so powerful. And I'll venture to guess, I think gamers are probably the most connected community that I've ever seen. And that's why this target audience is so important. Just for the researchers out there, I'll just throw a couple of numbers here and there so that Thailand ranks number 2 in all the internet users aged 16 to 64 playing video games on any device. So the worldwide average is 83%. But if you look at the top 5 markets, right, 4 of them are in Southeast Asia, and the 5th is India. So number 1, Philippines, number 2, Thailand, and you got Indonesia, and you got Vietnam. Huge. So that means a lot of players. So whoever didn't raise their hand when they say they're not a gamer, that's not true. Because you're probably playing Candy Crush, you're probably playing some other games that you think, oh, I'm not a gamer. Actually, you are a gamer, right? So please don't think that just because you play casual games doesn't mean you're a gamer, right? Oh, sorry, top games. Anybody play ROV? Anybody ever heard of it? Okay, it's college kids. So ROV is the dominant game here in Thailand. 30 million downloads, right? Our team, Bacon Time. Have anybody ever heard of our team, Bacon Time? Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Thank you over there as well. Bacon Time is a professional ROV team, meaning they're just like the New York Knicks or the LA Lakers or the, San Francisco 49ers for Patrick. They're just like any team, but they're playing games, right? And not playing on the pitch. They're actually playing on mobile screens, right? Right now, we're the current champions of ROV in Thailand. 3 out of 4 championships for the last 3 seasons. That's at Bacon Time. We just won, I just found out on my phone, we just won the Honor of Kings tournament, which is a version of ROV regionally. So good news for Thailand, because we want us to bring excellence to Thai gaming. And Bacon Time is a great example of Thai excellence and really bringing world-class talent to the gaming space. Second, Free Fire. It's more of a shoot-'em-up game for the gamers out there. It's an FPS or first-person shooter. And then if you have kids, you know what Roblox is, right? For those who have kids and those who are kids over there, that's Roblox. Subway Surfers and Candy Crush, absolute beasts of a game, because I used to play those games for a long, long time. And I used to build games myself, and I know how hard it is to build an iconic game like Subway Surfers and Candy Crush. A couple more facts. Obviously we talked about Thailand being mobile first. Over 500 publishers on Google Play. 82% is on mobile. What I like about this, right? And we talked about gaming as a profession or gaming as an industry. The mobile space has really democratized gaming. So before, when you were a gamer, you had to play on a PC, right? You maybe played Fortnite, or you were going to play a console game. It costs money. It's not cheap, huh? So now, with the mobile being with Chinese phones and phones in general being more and more powerful, it's been able, Thais all over the country can now be a professional gamer. So I don't have to buy a 30,000, 40,000 baht rig to play games anymore. I can just use my phone. And games like Free Fire, which is relatively light on your phone, as long as you're good at it, as long as you play a lot, you could be a champion. And I love it, because it doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. As long as you got a mobile phone, you could be an esports athlete. You're looking at 36 million gamers, probably a lot of revenue, 823 million on mobile. It's because this is a mobile economy. So I think it's important that Thailand is one of the leaders in mobile. Especially, we chose to be here as our home office, and all the C-levels being here, because of Thailand's immense infrastructure when it comes to internet speeds, etc. Because that's really critical to be a good gamer. So I've traveled around the region. I just came back from Europe, and it's amazing how I miss Thailand internet speeds, right? I was just in Portugal. I was like, why is it so slow here, right? I go to India. I was like, why is it so slow here? We are so blessed to have internet speeds like this. It's amazing. And obviously, in terms of top earning countries in esports, we're number 18. Has anybody ever seen this game for all the old people out there? Okay, now I know who's my age. This game changed my life, right? This game, when my parents gave this console, the Atari 2600 to me, I literally was glued to it, and it was the most attention-grabbing thing I could ever think of, right? Back in the day, I would, think about hanging out with my friends. I love playing sports. I play tennis. I play basketball. I play football with my friends. This game came out, I didn't see anybody for hours. Like literally, I'd be in my little room with my black and white TV set playing this game till I got to the level I could get to. I mean, my fingers hurt, my eyes were probably bleeding by then. But this game definitely changed my life. So this game, for all you young guys, this is it's called Space Invaders, right? And I think, let me tell you a story, because again, going back to my days, when I was playing Space Invaders and other games like this, it was mostly just me. There were two-player games, but most of the time, it's just me, right? And that was the beginnings of it, right? And when you think about the early days of video gaming, it was a very solo type experience. And then as it evolved and expanded, there was more social aspects to gaming. So there's things called LAN parties. I don't know if you ever heard of those, where everybody plugs their computers in and they play one game. And it wasn't even connected to the internet back then, right? That meant that people had to still physically be together to play games, which I think is interesting, right? Because now they're playing games like World of Warcraft and then things like that. And that meant that there's still now an added benefit of being with other people when you're playing games. And that experience was shared. And as like headphones and bigger computers, dual screens, better internet, it became even more immersive. Now, one of the things that you'll see now is interaction's not just going to be physical, because it was physical interaction way back in the LAN days. Now, you don't have to be in the same place, right? And I think that's powerful. Our team, Bacon Time, just a little story about Bacon Time, they never met each other until they actually met online, and they said, let's play this game together. And then they started playing professionally, and they only met days after they met online first. It's funny, huh? They never even met. And they started playing together, and we're like, oh, we got good chemistry. Oh, let's try playing other teams. They're kicking everybody else's asses, right? Then suddenly they said, let's try entering a tournament, and now they're world champions, right? Interesting how social, even if they're not in the same room, became a player in this whole thing. And now we add mobile elements on top of that now, and the increase of connections, because now it's just before it was just computers, now it's mobile too. Everybody's connected now, and everybody can play together now, right? And I think that's an interesting thing, and Paul talked about it, Dave probably talked. I think that now that we're all hyper connected, it's interesting how people, even if you're super connected now, there is a lot of sense of I'm still alone, right? That feeling of I don't know who I am sometimes. There's a lot of social pressure out there. I can't tell you, my kids are young. I think my daughter's 19, my son's 14. The amount of pressure to be to be like the best they can be, every time I think about socials, where people think that their social media is who they are, right? There's a lot of social pressure for kids nowadays. And I really believe that gaming is giving an outlet to a new sort of reality, and I'll kind of allude to that in a second. Has anybody ever seen this game? Okay, there you go. That game is called Grand Theft Auto. It's a very adult game. There's drinking, there's smoking, there's hookers, there's a lot of stuff in this game. But what it is you get to play a role in this game. There's a story to this game. You want to be a gangster, you want to be a drug dealer, you want to be, it depends, right? What's interesting about this game is you get to customize yourself, one thing, and secondly, you get to act the way you want to act, right? There are parameters to the game. When you're in the game, if you haven't eaten or if you need energy, it tells you, right? So you get to actually be a persona in the game. So what you are in there, for a lot of people, is what they think they want to be. And when I go back to that whole social pressure, in the game, do you want to be a guy or do you want to be a girl? Do you want to be a bully? Do you want to be a nice guy? Your true self is sitting now in that game if you want it to be, right? And I think that's one of the things that when you talk about changing times, that's the biggest thing I see is a social kind of shift for when people see themselves as themselves. In the real life, I'm sitting here with, wearing all black, but maybe in the game, I like colors. Maybe in my game, I'm not even a guy. Maybe in my game, I'm Bruce Lee. I don't know, right? But anybody can be anything in games if they want to be. And I think there's a lot more escapism, like Paul was mentioning before, in games. Because, again, if you're not the best looking guy, if you're not the most popular person, you could be in the game. And I think that's why a lot of kids are glued to this world. The gaming space is an amazing place to be because you could be you, right? And I love the gaming space because it's inclusive too. It doesn't matter if you're gay, you're straight, you're tall, short, as long as you play the game well. And that's all that matters. And it's how you interact. So a couple of things as well. So again, we talk about in real life. What's real life nowadays? It's actually blurring. Like you see that there's people who want to represent themselves differently. You see that, you'll see those 4 different avatars, right? You can choose whatever avatar you want to be, right? You could wear what you want, do what you want. I mean, I wish I could wear like skinnier clothes maybe, There's a lot of things that I would love to change about myself, and you could do that in games, right? You have the freedom to do that in games. And that again, if you look at all the new tools like Discord, right? Does anybody know Discord? Right, Discord's over here. Discord is like the new messenger, right? You can while you're playing games, you can talk to people at the same time. How awesome is that, right? And I think that's the new communication tool. Now, parents I know says, I got to get on Discord just so I can call my kids, right? So it's a funny thing. So what is in real life, and maybe this is a philosophical thing, and maybe this is a marketing thing. Maybe my brain's not working that great because the medicines are here. But I would say that what's going on with real life is anywhere there's any kind of form of human interaction is real life now. It used to be I physically had to play games, I physically had to be with my friends. It doesn't have to be that way anymore. And what is in real life could be where you really are in terms of who you really are, where you feel the most free to be you, right? Or the best part of you. So one thing about this generation, right? We talked about them they're more than just native to gaming. They're dependent on gaming. A lot of their interactions now are through gaming. So back in the day, I used to say, hey guys, let's play basketball at 3 o'clock at the park. I'll see you there, okay? Now it's, I'll see you on Discord and I'll see you at Fortnite. Well, I'm on this server. Totally different phenomena. And it doesn't mean that they're less close, right? They're very close friends. Some people you never met before have become good friends. Some people, hell, they've gotten married, right? There's some games way back in the day, they were using it not just to play games, but using it as a dating app at the same time, because in that place, you could say what you want, look the way you want, and it's how you play it. It's how good you want to be. So I find it interesting, if you see things like the communications that happen in the game, for example, it's so intense. You know, all the moves that you make in the game are all interactive, right? And the communication is interactive as well. I think that's an interesting part of it. And if you see games like GTA, I can tell you, we just put up a virtual GTA server, and that's one of our new business models. You can put all the different things that you were always scared to put into these games. So for those in the cigarette and tobacco and the alcohol industry, you can actually maybe advertise in these games now. I think it's an interesting place. And I think that when I see some of my staff there, I've seen some of the most demure people in my business, in my company. When they're in the game, they're total Casanovas and they're all like doing weird things in the game. It's because that's what they want to be in real life. They just can't do it in the physical space, but they sure as hell do it in the gaming space. So going back to my marketing days, I spent a lot of years in advertising. What could you be doing now, right? I think that one of the biggest things is to remember that gaming is a community, that people in gaming are, as Paul mentioned before, it's about authenticity. It's about being connected to them. Don't be fake when you're working with the gaming space at all. Because again, they're so connected. Anything that they feel is disingenuous, they'll just turn off. So for example, KFC, when we won the championship, they were the ones who were kind enough to give our fans some chicken. Right? So that's pretty cool. So they're sitting there, they're rooting for us, let's give them something. And I think that's very, very relevant. Red Bull, another one of our sponsors, imagine you're in a GTA server and your energy is running low. What if you threw up a banner ad or something in the game that says, hey, you're running low, hit this energy drink? Those ideas are possible, just for the marketers out there. Some interesting things that I'm seeing, everybody's heard of the metaverse. Right? I've had so many marketers talk about the metaverse and how it's something that they want to try. I'm hearing a lot of marketers try to get into the gaming space, but they don't know how. They want to get educated. That's why I think it's good to be in this space, because I can also kind of bridge those gaps. So one thing is Tommy Hilfiger in Decentraland did a full fashion show. Right? So basically, to me, the metaverse is just a fancy name for just a more immersive type experience in games. Roblox is a metaverse, GTA is a metaverse. They've all been metaverses because you're in there as an avatar. You can buy things, you can change the way you look, everything. It's just now the metaverse is, you'll have 3D goggles, you'll be in environments that you can touch, feel. And when Tommy Hilfiger says, look, I want to be in the metaverse, one, they're saying they're a leader, because they're not going to get tons of audience in Decentraland, I'll tell you that. But they want to look like a leader. Nike's also in this space as well. They want to say, look, this is where the world's going, and this is where the truth is, right? And I'll give you one more thing while my medications are still okay. When you're in this world, and if you watch the way people play, look at the way people dress, watch their interactions, you're going to find out the truth behind every demographic. Right? Because there's no holds bar on what you can and cannot be in this place. Now all the times, like, imagine, so Grant will know about surveys and things like that, right? I used to do that all the time as well when I was in advertising. You can ask people a question, but they're in it as themselves, right? Their physical self. And sometimes they're going to hide some of these answers because that's maybe what society wants them to hear, what pressures there are. But now when you're in the game, let's look at the data, what they actually do when they're uncensored, when they're their true self. That's what I find interesting, because the data play, to me, is watch people play games, because that's where the truth is, right? And I find that interesting. Oh, sorry. Miley Cyrus, everybody know she was, Gucci Town. Why is even Gucci, a very, very high-so brand in Thailand, I guess. They're in it, right? Only because they understand the importance of Gen Z and Gen Alpha as well, right? Why would a luxury brand? Louis Vuitton was the main sponsor for the League of Legends tournament, one of the biggest games. Why? You'd be like, teenagers would want to buy Louis Vuitton? Exactly why, because they still need to be relevant, right? Again, we talk about all the messages that come in to your screens, and I think being a screen-first environment that we're in, we're almost screen-centric in nature now, especially this generation. They say, if I don't get to Gen Z and Gen Alpha, my brand is going to be my mom's brand. And I'm going to be a dinosaur. If I don't talk to them now, then I'm going to lose them to Off-White, Supreme, all these other new brands that are coming out that are really slick and new with also great design, because nobody wants to be a dinosaur, right? And that's what they're saying. Louis Vuitton says, look, man, Gucci, if I'm not relevant to these guys, when they're ready to buy me, I'm done. Because this target demographic, not loyal to anybody. They're loyal to their friends. They're loyal to everybody that they feel is an influencer to them. And they're loyal to their own authenticity. And I think that's important to note. So that's all about all the energy I have. One thing I would say is, for everybody, you all are gamers. It's a very exciting space. If you want to know more about esports or gaming, I'm happy to answer any questions. The first thing is, I know you guys are all in the game, so I'll see you playing sometime in one of these cool servers or any other space online or on mobile. So thank you very much.
Just stay up there for a minute. I know there's plenty of gamers out there anyway. My only comment, I think you'd agree, I think this side of the room needs to speak to this side of the room, because they need to understand what this generation is all about. And, they're certainly right into it. Questions, anyone? Last, oh, there we go. Can we get that? There we go.
Thank you for a very interesting presentation. My question is that we know that gaming is for Gen Z and Gen A, but do you see the growth of player in other generations as well? Because we found that post-COVID, the acceleration of digital behavior really accelerated. Like other generation get into e-commerce, doing video, TikTok. Do you see that for gaming as well?
I think gaming in general is growing across all demographics, right? But I think the more focused growth is obviously in the younger generation. But I'm seeing, I just met somebody about a month ago who's 70 years old and also a pro gamer. And they're also starting leagues for the over 50s. So it's not just for kids anymore. And I think games that are easy to play, and I like some of the games like Nintendo Wii style stuff in the past, where people can use them as exercise and they can use them as social tools. You know, I still think there's room for that as well. So they're all growing, I think.
Perhaps we need to tell them how much they can earn.
Yes.
How much do people earn, let's say, the top esports players? How much is the tournament prize money or things like that?
Well, it's bigger in more developed markets like the US and Europe. We just won a regional tournament. It was $250,000 prize pool. We came in first place. A gamer can make anywhere from, I would say, $3,000 to $5,000 a month, and then we give them a cut of all the revenue that we make if they win tournaments. So from our perspective, we want our guys to be hungry to win, right? If they get paid too much, I got to tell you how intricate it is to play these games. Remember, it's the size of your mobile phones, and you're guiding a character that's tiny. The amount of focus needed to win, and the amount of interaction and practice that you need to play to become a champion in these types of games, very, very difficult. So yes, you can make money, but I just want to tell you, it's not just professional gaming. You could be an influencer. Influencers actually make a lot more money. I know some influencers here, gaming influencers, which is, we do that business as well. They do 2-3 million baht a month, right? You got guys like Heart Rocker or Bay Riffer. It's a different pressure for those guys. They're entertainers. These guys have to come up with content every single day almost. And the minute one thing goes wrong, tons of audience will leave. So there's a huge pressure to build their community. So again, maybe another tip, if you're gonna work with an influencer, especially a gaming influencer, if it's not in the tone and voice of that influencer, and you're just kind of trying to get your brand in, it's not gonna work. And I'll tell you why. He's not gonna give up his money for you to put your brand in. He makes just as much money on his own on YouTube. You gotta integrate with him. You got to give him a reason to bring your brand in. You got to give him the scope to be able to do what he does and inbuild your brand into what he does.
Great, excellent. Any questions from over this other room? No? Wonderful.
Okay.
There we go.
Sure.
Hi, I wanted to ask, and I think this might in a way answer her question, how to get older people involved, but in my case it's a case of gender. I think maybe 10 years ago, it seemed like almost all the gamers were boys, guys, but now you've been able to successfully get a lot of girls into the space, it seems. So my question is, how do you do that? And my second question is related to her. Maybe you could benchmark that in getting older people. The same way you got from guys, you were able to get girls, maybe you can get older people as well.
Yeah, I think in the past, like I said, gaming is inclusive. There is no, you don't have to be physically gifted in any way. You just have to be good at games. So when I talk about girls, like girls in the sport, there are girl esports leagues out there now, and I love it. I also think that there should be different, if it's going to be, I can't even say LBGTQ, is that if that's correct, they should have a league as well. Everybody should have a league because everybody should be able to play. It's about inclusivity, right? And that's one thing I love about gaming. It's not like the NBA, it's only big dudes playing basketball, right? Gaming could be anybody. And I think we should have a league for everybody. So yes, there's a lot of ways that we include. And what I love is you can take women now and say, now they're influential in building new athletes, which I love.
I have a question. Basically, you mentioned earlier on that people behave in the way they are in the game, right? So from market research background, I'm curious, is there anyone trying to use that as, a data to, in the market research predict how people will behave, or, use it as a marketing source or data sources to
We just started, actually. We just launched our GTA server about a month ago, so I only have a month's worth of data. But I could tell you, if we're a super admin, so I can see everybody. So I know exactly what people are doing. And I could tell you, it's funny how you see people in real life, they don't act that way in the game. So it's early days, to be honest with you. But if you think about the metaverse, think about all the screen spaces, that data will be available. But I think you have to own that server, technology-wise, right? You're not going to be able to get it from like an ROV or any other game like that. You have to be able to have your own dedicated servers. That's when you get the data back. But I do believe in the future when you have mini metaverses everywhere, if you build your own metaverse, of course you can have that data. Right? So I don't know if you're going to get it from Sandbox or Decentraland. But it's really pretty early days. But I would venture that that data will be available at one point.
One last question.
Sure.
A simple question. As a CEO in this gaming industry, do you think mobile gaming will eventually take over the market share of traditional PC gaming? Or do you think PC gaming is a solid market?
It's a really good question. It depends on the region. I don't know if the US and Europe will ever really adopt mobile gaming as much as we have here in this region. You gotta know that the three biggest games in the world, right? Dota 2, League of Legends, CSGO, Counter-Strike, PC games. And you've got like prize pools of $13, $15 million in those places. So it's difficult for those guys to say, I'm going to go and play a tournament in Thailand and I'm going to play a mobile game that's $250,000. So I don't think that's going to happen much in those markets. But I'll tell you, those markets have to learn about mobile, what you do in the mobile space. And I think the leadership is in this region. And especially, again, crypto gaming is coming up as well. I know there's a crash everywhere. It's not the greatest place to be. But it's going to come back. And when tokenomics are solved, guess what? They're going to learn about this as well from this region. So I still think that emerging markets will be mobile first, and probably you'll see a lot more adoption into other spaces as well. While the US and Europe are bigger entities and bigger type behemoths, right? They're more like a carrier versus a tugboat. I like to think emerging markets are like tugboats. We're quick, we're nimble, we're agile, we can move. While those guys have huge things to move before they move into the space. Hope that helps.
There you go. Great stuff, Ernie.
Thank you.
Please thank Ernie for a marvelous insight into the gaming industry and fighting through his cold as well.
Thank you so much.
I will also thank him. Dave's walking out the door. I've got a few thank yous to make to wrap it up. Firstly, the speakers themselves. I think there's been a lot of good, whether it's seeding or insights that have come out of each of the presentations to some of the big ideas that are influencing or affecting our industry, how we market, how we bring things to market, or how expansions are going to happen. Those presentations were done on purpose. It's important because we're going through a turbulent time again, and we need to be able to react to it in a positive light. And some of them, like what we saw with Great Wall, have taken a situation and been able to execute against a whole plan in a period of absolute turbulency. So it's happening, and it's good if we can do it. The other thank yous I'd like to make, of course, is the organisation team. They know who they are, but there's a big group of them that put this event on, so thank you all for that. And I'd like to also thank Drew, Kudmon and team as well for the marvellous venue that we've got, and of course all the coffee and cakes and everything that we also shared as well. So thank you to all of that. The last point I would make for those who know, this is our last period for the current board. So most of the board members will be continuing on, which is a good thing for our industry as well. We need all the support that we can get through the industry because we do this out of the goodness of making sure our market research industry is living to the standards and expectations out of it. And I think like the event that we've seen and the good work and good speakers, presentations and good content, there's plenty of opportunity within our space. I'm standing down as the president now. I need to do that, and of course there'll be a new president announced very shortly. So I'd just like to thank the board for all their work and the continuation of that for the next period of time. So that's important. My last point to leave you with is, of course, an important one, and I think data, insights, whether it's opinions, whatever it is, our industry is in a strong place, and it's only going to grow with the more importance of all the elements that we add to any markets that we're working with. So keep positive with that, because I think with these turbulent times, we will get through it, and data, opinions, insights, however you look at it, will be obviously an important role in that. So thank you very much for coming. Much appreciated for your attention as well, and to Paul, attention is obviously key as well. So thank you very much, everyone.
just at the last.